Hey, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to be taking a look at SOS Community Services and how they're tackling this big problem of family homelessness.
Okay.
And we're going right to the source of their website. We're going to kind of go behind the scenes, see how they explain what they do, who they help, and how they do it.
Sounds good.
Think of it like we're doing all the research, so you don't have to, almost like a cheat sheet if you were thinking about maybe, volunteering or donating.
Yeah, it's a great way to kind of get a feel for an organization.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of getting a feel, one of the first things that jumped out at me on their website was a quote from a former client named Jennifer, and she says, SOS gave my family a place to stay and helped us get back on our feet.
Ugh.
Really, it was the lowest point in my life. I'm so thankful for SOS and the services they provide to families.
Wow, that's powerful. It's so easy to get caught up in the numbers and the policies, but Jennifer's story really brings it home. It reminds us that we're talking about real people, real families going through some incredibly tough times.
Absolutely. And, you're right, it makes it relatable.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into the nuts and bolts of how SOS is actually helping families like Jennifer's. They highlight 4 key areas on their site.
Okay.
Housing the Family Resource Center programs for children and parents, and then eviction prevention.
It sounds like they're really covering a lot of ground.
Yeah, and even from this list, you can tell they're not just about putting a roof over someone's head. They're trying to tackle all those different things that lead to family homelessness in the first place.
Yeah, that's crucial. It's about getting to the root of the problem.
Right. So let's start with housing. Their website says they offer temporary shelter for families with children for up to 3 months. But it's not just a bed for the night. They also provide what they call intensive supportive services.
Okay, what does that actually look like?
Well, it sounds like they work one-on-one with each family to come up with a plan for, how to achieve stable housing. And that could mean anything from helping them find a job to budgeting skills, even mental health services or childcare, whatever that family needs to get back on their feet.
Yeah, because everyone's situation is different.
Right. It's not one size fits all. And then they also have this rapid rehousing program, which seems to be more about that long-term solution. How does that work?
So rapid rehousing is all about getting families into permanent housing as quickly as possible, like sometimes within 30 days.
Wow, that's fast.
Yeah, and they might help with things like security deposits or first month's rent. And they might also provide ongoing help with rent for up to a year. But the whole time, they're also offering that case management and support services that we talked about before, just to make sure families can stay in their homes.
So it's like a two-pronged approach, right? They're dealing with that immediate crisis of needing shelter, but at the same time, they're working toward a more lasting solution through this rapid rehousing program.
Exactly. They're thinking both short-term and long-term.
Makes sense. But what about families who are struggling, but maybe they haven't hit that crisis point yet? Is there anything SOS offers for them?
Yeah, for sure. That's where their Family Resource Center comes in. It's designed to help families kind of stretch their budgets and get the essentials before things get really bad.
Okay, so their website mentions a food pantry, help with utilities and transportation, even personal care items.
Right. All those things that can add up and really strain a family's budget.
It's like a safety net before they fall through the cracks.
Exactly.
Right.
And on top of all that, they're also a Me Bridges site, which means they can help people connect with all sorts of state benefits.
Now, for those who don't know, what is Me Bridges?
So Me Bridges is basically like an online one-stop shop for all sorts of assistance programs in Michigan. Things like food assistance, healthcare, childcare subsidies, that kind of stuff.
Oh, I see. So having SOS as a Me Bridges site basically means they can help people navigate all of that.
Exactly. A lot of people don't even know what they're eligible for, so having someone to guide them through the process can make all the difference.
Right. So it's not just the direct services they're providing. It's also about connecting people to this wider network of support.
Exactly. It's all about working together to make sure people get the help they need.
Now, I also wanted to touch on their programs for children and parents, because this is where we really see that preventative approach. They have this Parents as Teachers program, or PT, which focuses on supporting families before they reach a crisis point.
That's so important because it's about investing in families' long-term well-being.
Right. It's like giving them the tools they need to thrive.
Exactly. So PET uses a home visiting model where trained professionals actually go into the families' homes and work with them directly. They offer guidance on child development, positive parenting techniques, and connect them to resources in the community.
Their website mentions they do developmental screenings, play groups, parent education workshops. It sounds pretty comprehensive.
Yeah, they're trying to cover all the bases. making sure parents have the knowledge and support they need to raise happy, healthy kids and create a stable home environment.
And, it makes you wonder how many families might have avoided homelessness altogether if they had access to a program like this early on.
It's a good question, and it highlights the importance of early intervention. If we can address potential issues before they become big problems, we can really help families build a strong foundation.
Totally.
Yeah.
And speaking of preventing crises, their eviction prevention program is really interesting. This one specifically targets families with Section 8 housing choice vouchers.
Right.
So what makes this program so unique?
Well, even with a voucher which helps families pay their rent, things happen. Life throws curveballs. Sometimes there's a job loss or a medical emergency, or maybe the car breaks down. And those unexpected expenses can really throw a family's budget off track and put their housing in jeopardy.
So even with the voucher, they could still end up getting evicted.
Exactly. And that's where SOS comes in. They work with landlords to try to negotiate payment plans, help families access emergency financial assistance, and even provide legal help if needed.
Oh, wow. So they're really going the extra mile to make sure these families don't lose that crucial support.
Yeah, because once you lose your Section 8 voucher, it can be really tough to get back on track.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And on that note, their website actually shares another quote. This one's from Kim, a client in the SOS housing program, and she says, "Now that I'm in the programs at SOS, I'm able to catch up on past bills, finish my college degree, and help my children with their homework. SOS is not just about housing. It is about taking your life back. It's about establishing a stable foundation for your family."
That's beautiful. It really speaks to the ripple effect of their work. When a family's basic needs are met, when they have that stability, it opens up so many possibilities. Parents can pursue their education and careers, children can focus on school, and the whole family can start building a brighter future.
Exactly. It really shows that SOS isn't just putting a Band-Aid on the problem. They're giving families the tools they need to break free from that cycle of poverty and create lasting change for themselves.
Absolutely. It's about empowering families to take control of their lives and build a better future.
And it all comes back to that holistic approach, addressing both the immediate crisis and the underlying causes of homelessness,
Yeah, they're not just treating the symptoms, they're getting to the root of the problem.
which ultimately is what's going to make a real difference in the long run.
Exactly. It's about creating sustainable solutions that empower families for years to come.
And what strikes me is just how comprehensive their approach is. They're not just focusing on one aspect of family homelessness.
Mm-hmm.
They're tackling it from all angles. From that temporary shelter to these long-term housing solutions to all these wraparound services and support. It's like they're weaving together this really intricate safety net.
Yeah, it's a multifaceted approach.
And that's what makes them so effective.
Yeah.
They understand that homelessness isn't just about a lack of housing.
Right, it's about so much more than that.
It's about this complex web of factors that require a multi-pronged solution.
Exactly. And they seem to be doing a great job of addressing all of those different angles.
Yeah. It's like they're attacking the problem from all sides, working to prevent families from becoming homeless in the first place, providing immediate relief for those who are in crisis,
Yeah.
and then offering that long-term support to help families achieve real stability and thrive.
And that commitment to early intervention is key. Those programs, like Parents as Teachers, are so important because they're addressing potential problems before they even have a chance to escalate.
Yeah, they're giving families the tools they need to build that strong foundation right from the start.
It's about empowering parents and setting those kids up for success.
And you can't underestimate the power of that early support.
Hmm.
It can have ripple effects that last for generations.
Absolutely. Investing in families early on is an investment in the future of our community.
So well said.
Yeah, it's about breaking those cycles and creating a better future for everyone.
Absolutely.
It's inspiring to see organizations like SOS taking on this challenge with such dedication and a clear vision.
Yeah, I agree. It's really making me think about the bigger picture,
Yeah.
The impact that this kind of work can have, not just on individual families, but on the community as a whole.
Yeah, it's about creating a more just and equitable society where everyone has the opportunity to thrive.
Well said.
And organizations like SOS are leading the way.
I completely agree. So it sounds like SOS is doing some pretty amazing work.
Hmm.
But while their website gives us a really good overview of their programs, one thing I notice is that they don't really provide a lot of hard numbers.
Yeah.
Things like how many families they serve each year or their success rates with preventing evictions or helping families find permanent housing.
Yeah, you're right. It would be helpful to have some more concrete data to really understand the scope of their impact.
Exactly. And, someone who's always been a bit numbers oriented. It'd be interesting to see how they measure their success.
Yeah, and how they track their progress over time.
Right, because ultimately it's about making sure that these programs are actually making a difference.
Exactly. And being able to quantify that impact can be really valuable,
For sure.
both for the organization itself and for potential donors or volunteers.
Yeah. It's one thing to say that we're helping families, but it's another to be able to show the concrete results,
Absolutely. And I think that level of transparency is really important.
especially for organizations that rely on public support.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It builds trust and accountability.
for sure. So I guess if someone was really interested in getting a deeper understanding of SOS's impact, it might be worth digging a little deeper.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe check out their annual report if they have one.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
Or, attend a fundraising event, or even just reach out to them directly and ask about how they track their outcomes.
Yeah, good point. Sometimes the best way to get information is just to ask.
Exactly. Most organizations are happy to share information about their work and how they measure their success.
Right. They want people to know what they're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And I think that kind of transparency is really important for building trust and support.
I agree. So even without those specific figures, it's pretty clear from what we've seen so far that SOS is playing a vital role in their community. They're providing a safety net and a pathway to stability for families who might otherwise be facing a very uncertain future.
Absolutely. They're making a real difference in the lives of these families.
Yeah. And it makes you think about the ripple effects too. When families are stable and thriving, it benefits the whole community.
Exactly. Kids are more likely to succeed in school. Parents can contribute to the local economy, and everyone's quality of life improves.
Like a win-win situation.
For sure. Investing in families is an investment in the well-being of our entire community.
And it all comes back to that idea of creating a more just and equitable society.
Absolutely. Where everyone has the opportunity to reach their full potential.
Right. It's about breaking down those barriers that prevent people from thriving.
Exactly. And organizations like SOS are on the front lines of that fight,
I agree.
working tirelessly to create a world where everyone has a safe and stable place to call home.
And where everyone has the support they need to succeed.
Exactly. It's a vision worth fighting for.
I couldn't agree more. And thinking back to Jennifer's story, it's just such a powerful reminder of, the impact that organizations like SOS can have. She was at her lowest point facing all these challenges, but with their support, she was able to turn things around, create a stable home for her kids.
It really shows you that sometimes all it takes is a little bit of help to make a world of difference.
Exactly. And SOS is providing that help, that helping hand for families who might otherwise fall through the cracks.
Yeah. And it's not just about handouts either. They're equipping families with the tools and resources they need to build a better future for themselves.
Right. Whether it's financial literacy training or job search assistance, parenting classes, mental health services, they're really trying to address those root causes of poverty and homelessness, not just the symptoms.
Exactly. It's about empowering families to become self-sufficient and break free from that cycle of dependence.
And for me, what really stands out is that holistic approach. They're not just focusing on one aspect of family homelessness. They're addressing it from every angle,
Yeah, it's a multifaceted approach for sure.
from providing that temporary shelter to offering those long-term housing solutions to connecting families with all those essential resources and support services. It's like they're weaving together this comprehensive safety net.
And that's what makes them so effective. They recognize that homelessness isn't just about a lack of shelter, it's about this complex interplay of factors that requires a multi-pronged solution.
It's like they're attacking the problem from all sides, working to prevent families from falling into homelessness in the first place, providing immediate relief for those who are in crisis, and then offering that long-term support to help families achieve stability and thrive.
And that commitment to early intervention, like we were talking about before with those parents as teachers programs, that's key. Addressing those potential problems before they escalate is so important.
It is. It's about empowering parents and giving them the tools they need to create a nurturing and stable environment for their kids.
And you can't underestimate the power of that early support.
Yeah.
It can have ripple effects that last for generations.
Absolutely. By investing in families early on, we're not just helping them in the present, we're shaping a brighter future for their children and for the community as a whole.
So true. It's about building a stronger foundation for everyone.
Exactly. So as we kind of wrap up this part of our deep dive into SOS community services, what would you say is the biggest takeaway for our listeners so far?
I think the biggest takeaway is that they're doing incredible work, and they're doing it in a smart, compassionate, and effective way.
It's really inspiring to see.
They're not just providing temporary relief, they're empowering families to overcome challenges, achieve stability, and build a better life for themselves.
And they're doing it through this holistic, multi-pronged approach that really addresses those complex realities of family homelessness.
Exactly. They're meeting immediate needs, providing long-term support, and working to prevent future crises. And they're doing it all with this deep understanding of the challenges families face and an unwavering commitment to their well-being.
It's amazing to see an organization tackling this issue with so much heart and strategic thinking.
It really is inspiring. It gives you hope.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of hope, it makes you think about what more could be done.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
there's always room for improvement.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's important to remember that even with all the great work that organizations like SOS are doing, there's still so much need out there
Right.
and so many families struggling.
And there are always new challenges emerging.
Exactly, like the rising cost of housing and the lack of affordable options.
Exactly. And, those systemic issues like poverty and inequality that contribute to homelessness in the first place.
It's a complex problem with no easy solutions.
But it's not insurmountable.
No, definitely not. And I think the key is to keep working together, keep advocating for change, and keep supporting those organizations that are on the front lines making a difference.
Couldn't agree more. It really is. And it makes you wonder what we can all do to be a part of that solution.
That's the big question, isn't it? And I think it starts with awareness, understanding the problem, the different factors that contribute to it, and the ways that we can all help.
Yeah. So for anyone listening who's feeling inspired by what we've learned about SOS, what would you say is the best way to get involved?
Well, the website is definitely a great starting point. But if you really want to dig deeper, I'd encourage you to go beyond just reading about it.
So what do you mean?
Well, think about it. It's one thing to read about a food pantry, right?
Right.
But it's a whole other experience to actually volunteer there, see the families they're serving, hear their stories, witness the impact firsthand.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or maybe attend one of their fundraising events.
Oh, yeah, good idea. Get a feel for the organization. Meet the people behind the scenes.
Exactly. And, if you're more of a numbers person, like you mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
maybe reach out to SOS directly, ask about their impact reports, see those concrete outcomes, the families they've housed, the evictions they've prevented. It can really solidify your understanding of their effectiveness.
Yeah, it's a great idea. And I bet they have volunteer opportunities too.
Oh, for sure. Maybe working directly with the parents as teachers program, that would give you a real sense of how they're helping families build those essential skills.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
And, it doesn't have to be a huge time commitment either.
Exactly. Even a few hours a month can make a difference.
Right. It's all about finding that level of engagement that feels right for you. Whether it's volunteering your time, making a donation, or just spreading the word about the work they're doing. Every action, big or small, contributes to supporting their mission.
Absolutely. And ultimately, that's what it's all about, creating a community where everyone feels supported and everyone has the opportunity to thrive.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into SOS community services, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought. We've explored all these different facets of their work, their unique approach, and the powerful impact they're having on families facing homelessness. But the question is, what role will you play?
It's a question worth pondering.
Yeah.
How can you, in your own way, contribute to addressing this critical issue in your community? Maybe it's supporting SOS directly, or perhaps it's getting involved with another organization that resonates with you.
The important thing is to take that spark of awareness we've hopefully ignited today and turn it into action. Because when we work together, even small steps can lead to big changes.
Absolutely. Every act of kindness, every bit of support, every voice raised for those in need brings us closer to a future where every family has a safe, stable, and nurturing place to call home.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into SOS Community Services. We hope you learned something new and feel inspired to make a difference in your own community. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep making the world a brighter place.